Test 1, 2, test. Okay, looks like I'm live again. I'm going to do the live thing instead of filming because yesterday I tried filming for The Kingsman, number 2. I'm going to probably have to make another video because it was way too hot. I couldn't concentrate, and most of it came out of gibberish. So if I come out kind of the same way tonight, I apologize. We're still going through the middle of a heat wave right now in Toronto. If you don't know, it's Peter. Anybody new, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to see any other videos. I've lately been doing the Orville, getting a lot of good feedback on that. Tonight we're going to talk about the 2 episodes they showed of Star Trek Discovery, which, nicely enough, is filmed in Toronto at studio is called, named after the British one, Pinewood Studio North. Which is cool. I'm not sure where. It's a secret location somewhere in Toronto, but that's where they do the Star Trek filming, which is kind of neat. So that we're doing, you know, we're expanding our Hollywood sort of presence in Canada. So the show is basically, it was the pilot and the follow-up of our intrepid characters of Michael. You're gonna have to excuse me on this. I don't have everything memorized. I'll just leave the glasses on too because I can't see where it means. Got Michael Burnham, and we've got Captain Giorgio, played by Michelle Yeoh, and Sonequa Martin Green. Cool names. So, as far as I know, Sonequa, actually, her background is from Walking Dead, which I don't watch. Sorry, guys. Not in the zombies, except for Zombieland. Excuse me. So to set up the story, we actually jump right into the Klingons, which I still think look like Xindi from Enterprise, the way the armor is done, the way the makeup is done. The other thing I didn't like about it either, the fact is the cool thing was they were speaking Klingon, and there was subtitles the whole time. The only thing I don't like is I'm used to like older Star Trek Klingon where it's like Bach, Mech, Lach. They enunciate, they pronounce, you know, Kapla, you know, Bach. These guys sound like they'll have marbles in their mouth. They're like, so Klingon, and I'm like, what? My Klingon's a little rusty, but I don't speak Klingon. I still have the Orkman. I think it's Orkman, the guy who created the Klingon language for the movies and such. When you watch it on the show and the movies, yeah, it's better. But this is like that kind of. And I was like, right away, okay, you lost me right there, guys. And then we switch after basically the character, he's a Klingon zealot, and he wants to unite the 24 houses together because for some reason the houses are in disarray. There has been talk that the Klingons are supposed to be something like modern day America, like that's what they're pulling on because Klingons of old, of the original series, that they were basically based on the Russians. Like we had the everybody's always got to parallel something. It's like watching Orville. Oh, it's just like that Star Trek episode. You know, it's just, you know, it's Star Trek but, or it's Galaxy Quest but. Everybody's got to always make comparisons, right? Just look at that as a standalone series. The other thing I don't like about this new series is when they were selling it as it's 10 years before Kirk and Spock. And somebody else has mentioned it's just a reboot, and basically that's how it comes off. They should just treat it as a reboot. Don't say it's similar to you know, Shatner's day. Don't compare it to the Chris Pine part of the franchise because it leans more towards the Kelvin timeline. The phases are oversized. Some of the sound, but for sound effects, they're borrowed from all the series. Like you have the old school transporter effect, you have the sliding door effect from the old series. Some of the background noises of the bridge, that's borrowed from original series. Some of the other panel button noises are actually borrowed from Next Generation. I think what a lot of that is too is just, you know, it's triggers, right? You hear that, oh, I remember that sound. Yes, they did the same thing with the Star Trek movies when, excuse me, they hit one of the buttons. And it's like, boop, oh, I know that sound. That's the sound from there. So it's all, you know, you do these sound effects that just, it's all about, you know, drawing you in like, oh, yes, I remember that takes me back now. It's like doing popular songs to sell car videos kind of thing. So it's the same kind of idea, which kind of works. Some of the stuff I didn't like is, again, the characters, again, feel stilted, even though it's a good bunch of actors. I've never seen Martin Green in action, but she seems okay as Commander Berman. And Michelle Yeoh, I don't mind. I've seen her in a lot of other movies, with Chow Yun-fat and James Bond and stuff like that. So I don't mind her. You're not going to see Isaacs yet. That's probably going to be for episode 3. You don't even see the Discovery. A slight spoiler. So I think it's the Shinzu is the name of this ship, which kind of looks a bit like a cross between the Defiant of Wrath of Khan and sort of is it a Defiant? Yeah, I think it's Defiant. I'm not sure. I keep messing up the ships, but it looks like basically from Wrath of Khan ship mixed in with the hull design from the little scout ship that had the battleship. Should do more research anyway. And somebody else commented on Twitter while I was in between commercials. I was checking out the Twitter feeds, and somebody commented too. They've watched all the original series, and is it just me or is I'm the only person hating it? And I sort of like that comment because I've grown up on all the shows, and this kind of felt in the beginning a bit like Enterprise because of the way the suits were and the uniforms. A little too shiny for me. Later on, some of the shots it dulls down, but when you see like the pattern on the sides, it like really stands out. It's like, it's supposed to be spacesuits, not like disco party wear clothes. It's supposed to be functional, that kind of thing. I can't really say anything good about it because it was just, and a lot of it too, a lot of conflict. Like it's supposed to be a bunch of professionals. They're out in space. Well, you don't argue with your captain. Or they kept bringing up a few times too, I've been with you for 7 years. And then when her first officer, says to Michelle Yeoh, and the first officer goes like, well, I think we should be doing this with the Klingons. Says, I don't agree with you at all. I think we should be doing it this way. We don't do that. Well, the last time the Vulcans approached the Klingons, they learned to fire first, and that's a sign of respect with Klingons. But again, it's the whole, well, we're Federation, we don't do that. I don't care what the Klingons do. And then because maybe that could have stopped the issue because they didn't do it well. Next thing you know, 24 ships come out of warp. It's all the Klingon houses showing up, and a battle is going to start. So maybe that punch in the nose would have done something, and maybe that wouldn't have happened. We don't know now. So then, the first officer tries to take things in hand and gets thrown in the brig for mutiny and giving a nerve pinch to their captain. And I don't know. It's just, again, I think they're trying to do too much at once. And the other thing I didn't like either was the science officer, Lieutenant Saru is his name. And that's the one when you see in the trailers, like, I've been bred to, see death in the future. And I see death coming around the corner right now. A bit of a spoiler, he brings it up that actually his species used to be originally prey and predator. He was actually part of the prey bunch. So he's used to being, enslaved and all this other stuff. And that's where that death sort of thing comes up. But what I didn't like about him, he was just a worrywart the whole time. Oh, I don't think we should. Captain, we shouldn't be doing this. Captain, we shouldn't be doing this. You're an exploratory vessel. You're out in the middle of nowhere. If you don't do anything, you might as well just be parking the ship outside of Earth and sitting at your desk all day. That's what Starfleet's supposed to be about, exploration. And that was another thing that bugged me too. They're talking about exploration, and then we end up with a fight scene all of a sudden. So like, are we going to go back to like J.J. Abrams' Trek? That everything, there's no talking, we just fight right away, we blow up everything, and at least in this version, when there's hull breaches, they show force fields directed to protect everybody, so you don't get everybody sucked into space like you would in the Star Trek 09 movies. And then part 2 is basically continuation of, the Klingons have shown up. Now what we're going to do, okay, we have to figure out a way. Hey, you know what? Maybe if we capture the big guy, and we'll hold him hostage, and then maybe we can negotiate a treaty by force. And they try to do that, and it goes from there. And and also it's kind of, and there was a bit of a cliffhanger at the end of episode 2. What's going to happen with our beloved hero? In case you haven't seen it yet, or you haven't watched it on demand, or CBS for the Americans, CBS All Access, which I think kind of sucks. They get one free episode on the CBS channel, whatever their local affiliates do. But episode 2 going forward, you have to go online. Luckily in Canada, we have the Space Channel, and I also saw on our local CTV channel, they were showing the first episode as well. But on the Space Channel, we got to see episode 1 and 2 back to back. There was a bit of a preempt because they were running a Star Trek movie marathon like all weekend long, and they ran a little bit too long, so they had to shift the timing. Luckily, they put on Twitter, and there was a caption running underneath saying, by the way, sorry for the delay. There was also another show that came on after the second episode aired. It's called After Trek with Matt Moira. You may know him from way back when of Attack of the Show. He's also a buddy of Chris Hardwick. He used to be on The Nerdist and the Nerdist TV show. Now he's hosting this. Matt used to be sort of a little more mousy guy. He was sort of the tech guy on Attack of the Show, and now he's this, hi, I'm Matt Moira, and I'm the Star Trek guy, and we're going to make all spoofy stuff. And I'm like, oh my God. Again, too, maybe it's just me, but just like, wow, take it down a notch, buddy. Yeah, we get it. You're geeky and you're cool and you're talking to all the guys. And I didn't bother watching it because he was annoying as all heck. I may, just like the Orville, I may continue to watch this. I'm not holding my breath. I think they said on After Trek that they do have, I think, 17 episodes in total to do. So we see how it goes. So to me, this doesn't remind me. This should have been sold as Star Trek the reboot, not Star Trek Kelvin Star Trek. You know, it has nothing to do with that. And I would say if you did have to point it in one of the two timelines we have established, I would say Kelvin because of the way the paneling and the displays looks. Also, too, the ships again with a window, not using a view screen. I think that's the silliest thing. If I figure in space, I don't care how much. You know, super and what was that stuff called? Transparent aluminum from Star Trek 4, the movie. And you put a head-up display on it. Like, just make like total, you know, space hull spaceships and just put a view screen. I mean, we've got huge, you know, LED TVs. Work with that. Like, why are we always having to look out the window? And then there was one time when something went out, there's this glaring light happening outside the ship and nobody can see. And it said, well, put up the polarizing effect. And says, I have. And it's just breaking through. So everybody's like, I can't see anything. It's all this noise. I think this is also going to be a show, just like the Orville and like other series that come out there. There's going to be people that are going to be like, so, oh, yes, new Star Trek, we are happy. All the Uber fans are going to be like, yes, we have, you know, hallelujah. And there's going to be a lot of people like myself who are either going to be sitting on the fence or going to go like, yeah, no, this is not the Trek I grew up with. This is not the Trek I remember. And I think what spoils it is, like I said, because of the selling point was not right. Excuse me. So what did anybody else think? Did everybody else, all the big fans, go out and watch it and tell me what you think? I've seen a couple of reviews already that got posted. They're on the more positive side, but for their own reasons. So we see how all this goes. I'm just, like I said, going to keep an eye on this puppy and see how it is. And hopefully, excuse me. Maybe I should have filmed this, but I didn't really feel like sitting in this deplorable heat while trying to get my channel going. But anyway, hopefully it'll be nice and cool on Thursday when I watch Orville, and I'll do a recording for then. Next Sunday, we'll see what's going on with the Star Trek. It's going to be at 8 o'clock this time for people watching it in Canada. And we'll see you in the next one.